Okay. Phew. For fuck's sake, America. You're an embarrassment to the human race. When human nature is given everything on its plate to do well, to succeed, and this happens, it makes you ashamed to be part of the same race. And talking about race is Caucasian, Black, African American, Asian, I don't know, typical European, all this is one race actually. It's a human race. It's different phenotypes. If you look at these terms in biology, genetics, there's one race here, which is another reason why racism is a constructed fictional thing to divide people, to divide and conquer, of an idea of eugenics. What is eugenics? Breeding a unique race. Nazism wanted to do that. So, America didn't learn a damn thing ever from much because collectively they're dumbing each other down, let alone corporate control and greed dumbing everyone down. But a great example of productivity of different people, people who are from different cultures, different so-called races, but there's not. Not in my eyes. I served a family today of colour. There's nothing in my brain that goes, oh, I could serve these black people. I just serving another customer and being amicable with them equally as amicable as I am with other people. It's a short shift today, morning shift. A lot of people, a lot of awkward people about. And that's just people in general. It was kind of one of those days where really quiet one minute and then really awkward the next. Busy. Town was busy, but a great. It keeps me in a job at least. A great example of looking after people who are integral to a system and deporting people who are not integrating, regardless of where they're from. I don't give a shit where you're from. If you're not integrating, being part of this, of a society, whatever, helping, and you're just leeching off everything, and then it gets saying that you're there illegally, then you're deported. That makes sense because it's illegal. Plus, you're abusing the system. I don't give a shit what race you are because there's one race here. There's human race. Phenotype is a term which dictates is my phenotype, for instance, would be I got black hair. Oh, almost black. There's in the summer when the sun catches it at a bleach at the end, you get kind of an alban streak here and there, or a bit of an alban sheen. But generally, it's black hair and green brown eyes, hazel, whatever. Right? And my skin color, that's an expression of a phenotype. Phenotype being what genes are present, being turned on or off. For instance, somebody could look the way I am, but still have those genes for far darker skin coloring, but those genes are not turned on. This does not mean it's a bad thing, but this is where Trump's worldview comes in. He sees foreigners, what he attaches his view, his view of the world that is attached to the word foreigner is anybody who is not genetically good enough via his idea. Nazism wanted to breed a unique race. White, blonde, blue-eyed race. Just like Hitler, he wanted to do that, and Hitler had black hair. So I wonder if Trump hates himself, and most narcissists do. But he would tell you that his genetics are so great. The absurdity of the rhetoric people have been trying to warn America about, that it's so great when it's not, that it's. But the absurdity of ideas and metaphors and things coming and going increasingly more and more over the years. And it doesn't matter how much the rest of the world tried to warn America, it's just ignored via the hypnosis of great USA, 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 we're amazing, we're this, we're that. It's a fucking shitball. This didn't happen overnight. Kept chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, until you got a complete clusterfuck of epic proportions. What's happening in America, and I'll get to what happened in the UK last year. Riots in the UK. What's happened? It does, fascism, dictatorship, idiocracy doesn't happen overnight. See, Elon Musk doing this salute because he knows now that if he can do some of these things and get away with it within certain context, and then bullshit to everyone that it's fine, it wasn't meant to be, Nazi salute or whatever, that's how it gets installed. Disgusting levels of corruption are installed in governments via a testing of the general public. And we did this, we did that, nobody said anything. We can go a step further. You go a step further. Nobody said anything because we dumbed them down enough the last time we did this or that. Let's keep going. Trump is a puppet for that corruption within the White House. Every accusation is an admission. Going to drain the swamp, or he's installed the swamp. Drain a deep state, installed a deep state. Installed a level of corruption that is a dictatorship. And Trump, his health is shot, his mind is shot. He's a disgusting, typical product of America, junk food eating, obese, fat fuck who, product of all America's ills. Get them addicted, get them consuming, facts don't matter. And he produce idiots like this. Born into money, there's no way he could be somebody who made billions for himself anyway. And he ends up ruining what millions of billions he has by fucking things up and fraud and corruption and so on. And he just latch on. Why do you think he's latched on to Elon Musk? And Elon Musk is just kissing the ass there because Elon Musk has got nothing else, because everything else is for Elon Musk has fallen apart. Because there's another dysfunctional dickhead who's born into money, didn't make it. This rhetoric, you're on trip and here you are, aren't you? Fuck off. There's no such thing in the American dream of that. You gotta do hard graft if you make it at all, and if you do, you're lucky. I've said time and time again, if I got lucky enough, let's say a lottery win, I'd still be looking after my roots, definitely. I would put a pallet. It's always, that would be great. But, that's just a fantasy, because, if I got lucky, then it's luck, right? It's not something that happens, because the odds are never in your favour. But if that happened, I'd put a pallet at food banks every 6 months. A pallet of food, yeah. If they got the storage to hold it, and ask them what you need. looking after the roots, because, you know, just like anyone else that I know. Like the other day, I popped out a limited amount of time. I went out to see some friends. They said, "Oh, you staying or going?" I said, "I've got to go. I spent enough the other day and whatever. I'd like to stay, but my bank balance is a bit slim at that moment because I'm paying for an expensive set of treatment for my teeth." And that's the thing. It's expensive. But that's okay once that's done. And if I still have a job, and now if the UK's not fucked over by 22 billion, they think it's going to cost about 22 billion if Trump ends up going full on with all these tariffs. Hopefully he gets assassinated before then. America collapses 100%, and you have some kind of reset. And hopefully you can deal with your own shit before interfering with everybody else's. That's what the world is sick of as well. The vomit inducing. Fuck off and deal with your own shit before you think you can interfere with anybody else's. This idea that because you got the best military in the world, that you can police the world. Get your minds sorted first. It's the stupidity is on par with indoctrination and lack of information, lack of quality information put to North Koreans, this dictatorship. So apparently Trump signed a paper to call Canada Lakes of America right now. Of course, that's only going to happen in America. America is going to be severed and cut off. Trump's not the last person to come along and be used as a tool by this corruption. That has been allowed to be installed because the stupidity of not maintaining standards and calling people out for their stupidity every time they fuck up within politics is they come along a bit and come along a bit. And influencing these disgusting ways, like conservative, ended up being very cult-like in the UK. The UK people were sick of it. The majority were sick of it. This is why a vote matters, even if you're voting a lesser of two evils. You don't want to install how disgusting, maybe I'll do a separate video how disgusting the Conservative Party is with some of their beliefs, and it's on par for some of them with it's not beliefs, it's necessarily, I don't think they believe their own shit, but it's like the bullshit they say ends up verging on this, you know, this idea you're just a slave, you know, ban abortions, breed more people so we got more slaves. The average American, I've been saying it for the last 4 years, I think, the average American is a slave. You are a slave. There's make no two mistakes about it. So let me get to what happened in the UK last year. Riots happened over racism because there's Tommy Robertson, or Stephen Yaxley Lennon, his real name. He's a paranoid fuck-up that things he's preyed on and his rhetoric are things that have happened, like groups of extremists, but something that goes remotely, in his worldview, remotely untrustworthy. He lays all this on there, a paranoid reaction, and that doesn't mean I give him any charity. But born in, I forget what the town was, Luton. Poverty-stricken, has always been a bit violent area in the UK. And again, that doesn't, you know, it's a product of the environment. But the problem is self-analysis here isn't happening. It's like, oh, it's the rest of the world that's a problem, not why am I like this. Thousands of people stood together in peaceful protests all across England. There wasn't so much problems going on in Wales, but we was aware of it because there's no big wall or border or anything. It's just like you could walk over a bridge and then you're in England. Like that's how easy it is. Just have a walk around locally if or drive, and you'll get these signs on the roads. Welcome to England. Welcome to Wales. I live very much on the borderline. I could walk into England, a bit of a stroll, but the majority of the riots happened in England. The majority of the peaceful protests happened through London and the larger cities. The largest city being London, anyway. Regardless, who were the peaceful protesters? They were people who worked and were integrated in the system of society for the UK. The country people, people of the UK who were Pakistan born and bred but came over and to have jobs here. They were white Caucasian, Indian, Asian. Pakistan would be Indian, I guess. Regardless, all stood by each other, all different belief systems as well. All stood right next to each other, not dissing each other, but they were integrated. They all were part of society that is working for that greater good. They all got jobs. They're all doing their thing. And they're all one race, human race, regardless of how different you want to obsess over who somebody looks. But Trump does. Trump's installed bullshit cult in the White House does. And ICE are disgusting. Going to these houses for immigration reform. When your own citizens are born and bred, there was a video I just watched of somebody who was an ex-Marine, fought for America, but because he looks, did he say? Because he looks Latin or something, he was targeted just because of the way he looks. You are in a position, you have a dictatorship right now running riot, running whatever the metaphor is, running away. America, I said time and time again, during Trump's administration as well, get out of America while you still can. The bubbles burst. It's only a matter of time before you won't be able to get out of America. Trump builds metaphors all the time relating to something as bad as North Korea. How cut off and severed North Korea is from the rest of the world is a perfect example. And Trump kissing the ass of Kim Jong-un, thinking he's great, and Kim Jong-un walking around a fat, obese prick, while the rest of them got to suffer and be scrawny and malnutritioned. You would be malnutritioned but fat anyway in America because of the lack of quality food. The quality food being most healthy food, way too expensive versus your junk food. And that happens in the UK a bit. Junk food in the UK is cheaper than, much more healthier. But from what I've been seeing, it is a bigger divide. That's another reason why, keep them fat, keep them dumb, keep them slow, keep them addicted to these junk foods, which don't have very good in nutrition for the brain anyway. You just want people to move around, to be a slave, to bring the money in, get them addicted to things. That's the only way we keep making money out of them. Get them breeding more. And we want more of these slaves to bring the money in, which gives us the power. And it's not even about money at the end of the day when you got billions. 1 billion. If 1 billion was paid to you like $1 per hour, 24/7. So for whatever job. So it means you got $60 per hour making. And you make 24 times that. But basically, you got 30 years before you got 1 billion. 30 years. It gives you, it gives you a better idea just how much that is. It's a disgusting, gross amount that no one individual can spend in a lifetime. But then you got egotistic spending with golden toilet seats or something stupid, right? Just to rub people's face in it. With somebody like myself, got maybe a couple of hundred in the current account and a few thousand saved in other accounts. And pensions and possibility of a very large inheritance pay. Whether I get that or not, if I do get that, I will quit my day job. Or actually, I might work for the first year. Oh, that, if that's the thing. But I don't even know, it's a big if. If that happens, I'd be like, the first year, I'll work my basic contract hours and give whatever I earn from that to charity, and I won't mention it at work because the work people over that like a shit stain. Head office go, oh, if you want to do this, do that. No, piss off. I'm doing my own thing. Because again, it's another company. I think it's going up itself before with self-importance. And that happens all over the planet, whether it's the UK, America, whatever. These companies get so far up their own ass looking after shareholders more than the staff. The day that where I work went on the market index, whatever, oh, that's it then. We're just... we're nothing now. And the media got too much control over that anyway. All they got to say is so-and-so are not doing too well on some things or whatever, and people withdraw all their shares. So these companies end up chasing their own tail then. It was trying to look after the shareholders more than they do this bloody staff. So it feels like in many ways. And certain... I could go on forever in a day, but... about how all that works. And regardless, peaceful protest, because we had butchers, local butchers, with some of the people who were doing that are foreign. Some people are not. But foreign, what is it? Complete irrelevance. That's what it is. If they're integrating and working legally and so on, it doesn't even matter. Asian, Caucasian, Indian, different belief systems, none of them are fighting each other and calling each other racist. But these individuals that are more born and bred in poverty-stricken areas are the ones who, oh, you're taking all our jobs and all that, and you offer them work. They don't want to do it. They're the ones leeching off the government while blaming these other people for being the same thing when they're not. Bloody foreigners coming over, taking our jobs, that kind of rhetoric. I used to joke about that to a guy, South African guy. I've mentioned him before. A lovely chap. Worked with him where I work now for a bit. Angus was his name, and you might think, a name like that could have been from South Africa. The narrow-minded, tiny world view. Well, yeah, probably relations. It is unusual, slightly, but it's probably relations or some roots or whatever that are more. I mean, Angus would be like a Scottish name, I think, pretty much. But it'd be whatever it is, regardless. I was working with him, I was taking the cardboard out to be thrown out at night. And we just having a laugh, trying to get this cage full of cardboard out to the front, and it was got stuck a bit. And we just take the piss out of each other in a fun-loving way. We say, "Oh, bloody foreigners," and he'd repeat back to me, he'd say, "Yeah, foreigners coming over here taking our job." It's a parody thing. It's taking the mick out of idiots like that. Because there we are, what we doing? Integrating, getting a job, making ends meet, being part of something that works. Filipino nurses in the UK certainly did their thing during the nasty side of COVID. A lot of them were supplying a vaccine. A lot of other people were, but I don't sit there, receive a vaccine and look at the person doing it going, "Oh, you're this, you're that, you're Caucasian, you're Filipino, you're this." And I don't think for one moment, if I'm being supplied a service or supplying a service from where I work, of who is what. Not once. It's just another human being. But racism is encouraged in America because it keeps getting talked about. And what is it really? It's anti-culturalism. It's a culture war. You got what labelled as then black culture. We also, people might joke. I don't know if you know. What was his name? Brian Lunduke, I think. He's an advocate of Linux. Bit nerdy. And Linux is an operating system and all that. Is typical white Caucasian guy. And he's like a stereotypical white nerd. And, he's doing this talk among a small group of people in a room, and somebody's jokingly said, "You're so white," and yeah, I am, because it's kind of like a culture thing. But that's it. There's one race here, and it's anti-culturalism. I love the multiculturalism of the UK. Great. I mean, as long as you're part of the progress and part of the process of what we want to be and who we strive to be. And great. And there's a great example of how we are. And it's no good sitting back, though, and going, "At least we're not like America." Doing that is why America got fucked up in the first place. It admired the views of its successes for way too long. It's one of the reasons why it got screwed up. Not the sole reason. But you admired the view of your successes for too long. Who's doing work while you're admiring? Oh, next person. No, they've been admiring for too long as well. Nobody's maintaining the bow of the ship so it freaking sinks. And you're all running around and go, "That can't happen, yeah? This is America. That's not fair. This is America." You haven't got or never even had the America that the American dream was somehow... it's never been realized. George Carlin said, it's called the American dream because you've got to be asleep to believe it. What I found out about George Carlin, he was, large audiences went to see him and laugh with him. He wasn't a comedian, not really. Just a fucking realist. He's telling the world how it is, and he might have been outlandish, maybe, and a bit wrong on some things. Perhaps somebody could, people could argue that with some of the things come out with, but he was just an individual pissed off with American stupidity, and he was on stage talking about his feelings about it. And he wasn't that far off with a lot of things. And many Americans knew that, and they were sick to the core. To alleviate their dismay, they needed somebody like George Carlin again. Well, probably, I guess, because they felt powerless and little they could do about it other than raise awareness of how bad this was getting, has got, and continues to get. What's scary, very frightening for the rest of the world, is not so much this tariff war and all this. You have a country with all the world's most powerful weapons, and you got an idiocracy combined with dictatorship being installed. What a nasty combination. Yeah, that's frightening. Again, it underlines, the American dream. What is the American dream? You work hard, you make your millions, and then you retire. That's everybody's dream. Getting there, it never happens because there's fantasy and there's reality. You might get lucky, some great idea and make your millions. You might get lucky. But that's what motivates people, is to try and make your money. So it's all a rat race. We're all chasing our tail here. And again, the only hope for me to retire earlier than I have to would be what I've mentioned as inheritance. I give if you see a massive super chat from me, that would be the day I got some inheritance. And then I just make interest off the rest of it. So you might think, if that inheritance is so much, how come just like any average UK citizen's been struggling today? Well, because it's one of those families where one side been really rich and the other is only like a realization a bit too late. Now that one individual has realized that they got nobody left other than who we are. But one side's watched the other suffer and kept coming up with ideas. What you want to do is this, what you want to do is that. Then we're like, we can't afford to do this, we can't afford to do that. Living a fairy tale as well, what it is to have to do certain things if you are poor. And I don't say we're poor relative. It's all relative. We're middle class, I guess, but it's certainly not. But then, again, classation, culture, and people, and I went in a restaurant cum bar that used to be a nice place to be, but it was all done up and got super stuffy and posh and snobbish. I can't stand the snobism in the UK. That needs to be nipped in the bud. You can fuck off with that shit. Because that's, again, it's just rubbing people's face in it. I come in, it's so stuffy, I handed a leaflet, and said, all the tables are booked, and I just want to go somewhere, perhaps have steak and chips. Or steak and fries is what the rest of the world might call it. It's something nice, just hard-working man's food. So, yeah, I look at the menu, prices, and I look around me. It's like, I don't feel comfortable in here. It's too stuffy, it's too posh, and everyone's like all stuck up with a uniform, way too where's the informal at all? It's so formal. I said, what? I just stood up and said, "This is too stuffy and posh for me. I'll see you." And it's in a town where it's in a small rural town, and I think it was like it doesn't make sense. Put something like that in a city, and there's things like that where I think people get so far up their own ass in the UK, thinking that they can do what they normally do in places where it doesn't fit. They have no awareness of the bigger picture of what is around them. It's a lack of awareness. And again, that's another thing that encourages things that just end up failing and don't work, because you need to know your environment to be somewhat acceptable and adapt to that environment if you're supplying a service. Where I've been going to a favourite bar at the moment, the atmosphere seems to be falling apart because certain key people were probably taken too much advantage of, really, in my personal view, aren't around as much, but as staff, for different reasons. Don't have to go into it. I mean, some of it I don't really realise the ins and outs anyway, but the atmosphere has gone. But people don't know what they got until it's gone. But so I'm looking for somewhere else to be my usual regular visit. And, you know, I still would visit because there's some people there I really like still coming and go, but not. Somebody's already said, "Oh, I haven't seen you for a while." They said, "Yeah, I don't come down as or stay as much, you know, finances and all that." And part of that is true, finances, because again, at the moment, I think it's either one more or two more visits to the dentist. I mentioned this before Christmas. Last year, I got, I think I mentioned on video, a lot of expense. We'll get back to just in the corner behind me, the ecosystem. We'll get to that. I was going to make video after a video each step of the way, but it's a project that's on pause at the moment because of my finances. It would be lovely just to, you know, with millions, which I won't, I'm not talking about inheritance being millions, but it'd be enough to set me up for the rest of my life. So whatever, you know, that amount of money, that'd be something like that. You just do it. You don't even have to worry about it. It's just like breathing. But no, there's such lack of realization. You just spend 20 in terms of dollars or pounds for UK, dollars for, as POUNDS, not LBS. That's not in weight. And it's not referring to actual physical weight. And maybe I do a video as to why it's called pounds today versus any other name. You know, a couple of, you know, $10 or $20 spent. Think, oh well, that could have been, you know, spending it on something, and then you're thinking, oh, that could have been gone on this other thing that might have been better. And it's like 10 or 20, and you're thinking, wow, those with millions don't have to think that way. It's like, it's almost like it's for free. It doesn't calculate because you're making extortionate amount more on just interest half the time anyway. 30 years would be 1 billion. To have $1 per minute for 30 years, you'd have 1 billion. It's a gross amount. That gives you an idea how much that is. It's like, it's disgusting. It would take that long. America is frightening right now. It's frightening for the citizens. It's frightening for everybody else watching this idiocracy with Trump dancing with a sword, with YMCA playing. It's like you can't make this shit up. It's utterly bizarre, weird, really, really weird, strange, and creepy, even uncanny valley creepy. It's just, oh, what the fuck? How far with this sociopathy? Because Trump's very sociopathic as well, I think. Never mind narcissism, and that's what I want to look at. And so, what are the overlaps between narcissism and sociopathy? No, I did not say psychopathy. Psychopathy is something you might get the thought and think a thought process, or go out and ask somebody today. I want to see what that's like. I just want to do that, see, and have no emotion or nothing. Just go out and do it. Sociopathy, much more akin to manipulation for a means to your own ends, regardless of the person being manipulated suffers. And again, that's part of narcissism as well, because it's always about the individual, not the consequences of what the individual does, the individual's actions. There's consequences for your actions, regardless of what you wish and want about the world. And Trump's ideas, his worldview, has got fuck all to do with reality. He wants to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Oh, so that's only gonna, if that happens, it's only gonna happen in America. The Gulf of Mexico is still going to be a Gulf of Mexico, but Americans are going to be told this is the Gulf of America. You're going to have no, it keeps going down that route. You end up with North Korea. You end up with the same side effect of the average North Korean has no idea, hasn't got a damn clue what the greater world is like, what happens here and there, or what it's another planet. It may as well be an entirely different planet. And we've seen that being encouraged time and time again, because it gives corporations the more attention and more control, more greed. It's something that influences America on a large scale, is that corporations run your country, not your government, to a large degree. Politicians come along and a corporation will say, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, that's good for our products. And then they get funded. The moment they step out of line, corporations go, oh, I don't think this is going to work out for us. We're not going to fund this anymore. Right? And idiots will buy Trump, and Trump will buy idiots. He surrounded himself with complete. He may as well be on crack. His own son, one of his sons, is definitely a crackhead. You can tell all signs of abuse are there. The cocaine is a bullshit drug that you end up talking really fast, and there's a lot of rhetoric, and it's all hot air. I've seen it for real, in person, unfortunately. And drug abuse is a problem in the UK. There's a lot of coke going around. They're trying to nip things in the bud. The UK's got its issues, its problems, just like any other developing country. But we're not going to sit on our asses and go, oh, we're great, we're the best with this. Well, this goes on. Our Americans were programmed to do that over and over and over and over ad nauseum. So while the corruption went on, it was like telling everyone, nothing to see here, move along now. And look where that got you. Awareness of what the fuck's going on around you is extremely important, more and more as we go on through the years. Listen extremely carefully to how people talk. If Trump starts talking we're going to build an Iron Dome over America, which is what he has said. It's not just a metaphor. It's part of his hate for a genetic type. We don't look too American, whatever his idea of being American is. You don't look white, Caucasian, or whatever. Oh, deport that one, deport that one. Build an Iron Dome, separate America from the rest of the world, cut it off, and then before you know it, your own internet is going to be extremely policed. It's going to be Trump's internet. What he wants you to see and what's the installation of corruption, whether Trump is still around or not. Corruption's getting installed. This is not going to be a 4 years of poison. It's going to be decades down the line of problems of America failing. That American dream, hey, kiss that goodbye. You should have kissed it goodbye decades ago anyway. And realize you need to maintain what you got now in the moment, rather than fantasizing, this is America, we can do this, we're liberal, we're better than so-and-so. By what measure? Facts. Instead of repeating something emotionally, how do you know? If it's just you just feel, oh, well, I feel this way about it. It must be this because it feels right. And then very often you find facts of the world don't really fit too much of necessarily how you're feeling, but definitely what's affecting how people are feeling is the idiocy, the facts of the idiocy going on in America right now. Yeah. Again, people really need to listen very close to what people are saying. You could change one word in one paragraph of information, which would change how people view emotionally that information. People filter information through a first impression a lot as well. Definitely. Particularly if the first few words are emotionally driven, like words like warm, cold. Yeah. And the media do that a lot, particularly when they're politically biased. But Trump preyed on that emotional string pulling and popularized the fake news terminology. It's not like you should dismiss all of that news. You should be cherry picking that which is not for your bias to cherry pick, but taken from the rest of the stuff that doesn't seem to go anywhere. You can't really tell. But anything that goes somewhere that you can investigate who said what, why they said it, when it was said, and names of other people who were involved, and research them and find out what they said, when they said it, why, what year, dates, and things. Great, that moves you forward. But if you can't move forward with those variables, chances are you've just been told a load of bullshit. And Americans are not encouraged to think critically. And many Americans are worried about that and recognize that, so they are advocates of critical thinkers. They usually end up being the smartest people. There's this worrying imbalance of assuming that just because someone's got millions, it's like they got it right up top here, and they're born into it, and they just got lucky, and they just surround themselves with people who are doing all hard work for them. They got no brains at all. They're fucking idiots. For the most part, everyone's got something. And if you've got millions and you're good at making your own, starting off companies, that's, wow, lucky you. But then building a company is one thing, but making it last and being good for the greater good, for the betterment of society, is quite another. Trump's never going to be able to do that. Elon Musk has never done that. He hasn't. Electric car. He's not the first to create an electric car. His fan base, some of them may have thought that I see a lot of people who are, from what I can tell, looking at the internet, things post here and there. Those who were fans are now ex-fans of Musk because Musk exponentially, more and more, is just losing his mind. I think he's very much of a childlike mindset, but also he's a child who's completely lost. He's got no guidance. Again, that doesn't, I'm just trying to work out what the fuck's going on with him. But it's not a charity thing. I've no charity for an asshole that is destroyed Twitch with racist rhetoric and garbage, and it starts crumbling. And he turns around, oh, we need to be nice to each other on this platform. And he just, Meta as well, removing themselves from obligations. I see it as an obligation to discern whether something's valid or not in information that's spread through these networks. It's that now get them on, get them communicating. That's only a move because it's pretty desperate now. So most people I talk to, they don't really use Facebook anymore, or they got a page on there, but only to stay in touch with some local people, local events. But they could do that anyway, just by a local. In the UK, you have small rural towns where you can buy a local newspaper that isn't for. It's not a newspaper for the whole country. It's just local ins and outs. And you just go around and talk to locals. You go around and look at things being posted, actual physical poster on in places. It just what do we need Facebook for? Do I have a page? Yeah. Do I use it? Barely at all. I've used it to log into other things. That's the thing, but really I should be more vigilant than that. It's overdue, another big security breach. That's going to happen 2025. I would be surprised if it doesn't. Thanks for watching. Take care. I look forward to doing the next video. And just final word, fuck you, America. Just seriously, fuck off. Fuck you and fuck your shit. Piss off. We don't want your shit. We don't want your interference. Fuck you.